Hello, my name's Dominus the Donkey, and today is my favourite day in the whole year. It's the day when we donkeys are the heroes of the day. Ever since I was a young foal at my mother's knees, I've been told the story of my great 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 granddad, who was born in Bethpage near Jerusalem. I will tell it to you now. It all happened a long time ago. One day, when my great 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 when my ancient relation was a young foal, he was tied up in the courtyard with his mother. They had spent the night in the animals' quarters in the house as usual, and his owner had taken them out after the breakfast of hay and oats. The sun was shining, and it was going to be just another ordinary spring day, when two strangers turned up. They looked a bit rough, as though they'd been on the road for days. They started to untie me and my mother. We both began to bray, and the owner, who'd been standing nearby talking to the neighbours, came over and asked what they were doing. The men said that the Lord needs them. Whoever they were, and whoever the Lord is, was all right with the boss, as they continued untying them and led them out of the village on the road to Jerusalem. When they got to a crowd of people, they stopped, and a small group came to them. Some people put their cloaks on my great 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 etc. granddad and his mother. Then a young man approached my young granddad. He began to feel a bit panicky, as no one had ever ridden him before, and he didn't know what it was going to be like. There were lots of stories about foals being broken in, and scary things that happened to young donkeys. This man, though, spoke gently to my young granddad, calmed him, and got on his back. He was heavy, as any grown-up man would be, but he felt comfortable on his back and didn't hurt him. It felt really natural. Then someone took the bridle and led the donkey and the foal down the road. There were crowds of people, and they began to put their cloaks on the road to make a lovely soft surface to walk on. But they said they had to lift up their hooves, or else they'd get caught in the cloth. Then people began waving palm branches, which was great as it kept the flies away. The pilgrims began singing, "Hosanna to the Son of David," and "Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord," and "Hosanna in the highest heaven." Though they were nervous at first, they soon began to enjoy the carnival atmosphere, and they felt so special as everyone looked at them. Now, the pilgrims made their way down the Mount of Olives, across the Kidron Valley, and into the city of the temple. It was the first time that my great 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 etc. granddad had been out of the village, and it was amazing. He'd never seen so many people before, and he later heard that the places he went with his royal passenger would become really important in the events of the coming days. The crowd were just ordinary folks who knew the man who they called Jesus. When they got close to the city, my relations heard people tell others that they'd heard this Jesus preach wonderful sermons and seen him perform incredible miracles. They said they'd puzzled over his stories, and some had shared his journey to Jerusalem for the Passover. These country folk told the city dwellers with pride that this is Jesus, the prophet from Nazareth in Galilee, and that they knew him. They said he was going to do great things. When they reached the temple, Jesus got off my great 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 etc. granddad back and thanked them. Then he disappeared into the biggest building he'd ever seen. The cloaks were taken away as well, and then the two men who'd been leading them began to take them home. Before they got very far, they could hear someone shouting. They could hear the banging of something hitting the floor, and the squawking of birds and the bleating of animals. The voice sounded a bit like the man who just got off my great-great-great-great-granddad's back. But he'd been so gentle and so kind. It was a mystery. My great-great-great-great-great-great-granddad said it was the best moment of his whole life. The best moment in the whole of the donkey's history. He said he heard that Jesus came to a sticky end. He couldn't understand it. Then he did say there was more. But that's for another day.